Hi, I'm Susan Blaine. Welcome. I'm sitting here with Meredith Porter, and Meredith is a lawyer. She's the Director of Professional Development with the Canadian Bar Association. Hi, welcome to Sharing with Susan B, telling stories from the heart. We're looking to inspire, telling stories of struggle, vulnerability, and lessons learned. Your first job was at McDonald's, and I hear that's a really good experience.
It was a unique experience, let's put it that way.
You grew up in Winnipeg until the age of 7. You moved to Ottawa, but you also lived in Hawaii and California. Right. You were a summer student with the federal government and later at a law firm. You completed your law degree at Ottawa U, and you had various short-term contracts with the federal government. You've been practicing law for 21 years, and I think you got into really interesting work, right? When you were with the Department of Indian and Northern Affairs, the Assembly of First Nations, you were a sole practitioner for a while too, so you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I am.
You were senior counsel for the National Enquirer into missing and murdered Indigenous women and children, or women and girls, which I'm sure was an interesting time. Tell us about sort of what drives you and what you're really passionate about.
I approached my law degree and my practice of law with the sort of ideology that it's a service industry. Mm-hmm. So it's my role to obviously advise clients and take their instructions, but it's also to approach it with some humility, with some compassion and empathy.
Yeah.
And that's not something that you often see in law practice, and it's also certainly, I don't think it's necessarily something that you're trained in your studies to become a lawyer.
Yeah. Well, especially some of the things that you've done.
Yes,
I mean, in
exactly.
particular, the National Enquirer into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls.
Yes.
I mean, how was that? How was that project?
There was a lot of heavy lifting, let's say, a lot of difficult stories to hear, a lot of hard struggles that you share with the witnesses and the other members of the staff with the inquiry, but it's so rewarding. It's so strengthening. You learn, and learning can at times be a painful process.
Absolutely, we learn the most when we're deep in struggle or pain.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've been lucky. I have to say, I look at those types of experiences and say I'm lucky to have had them because they've been learning and building and strengthening. And who doesn't want that in a profession?
Absolutely,
in a job,
right? So, it's fulfillment.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
And you yourself, your background is from the Indigenous culture, right?
That's right.
So, but you grew up outside of that culture.
I did. I'm a 60 scoop survivor.
Okay.
And so with that comes, a certain, I'm not going to say struggles every day, but I would certainly say that growing up and even to this day, it has certainly presented some challenges. And again, another opportunity to learn through some feelings of pain and loneliness. And
there must have been a real emotional connection when you were working with helping these women and children.
That's right. That's right. And prior to that, I was doing litigation for residential school survivors. Wow. And I always relished the opportunity to sit with elders, healers, other helpers, I guess, and learn from them how respectfully to help other individuals and how respectfully to practice law and do what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen you in action there. Struggles, we like to keep things real. I know we're talking about struggles in some of the cases that you worked in, but how about your biggest business struggle?
Well, I would say probably my biggest business struggle has, in fact, as I just alluded to previously, was providing legal services in the context of humility and empathy, and really ensuring that I can not only just service my clients or the work that I'm doing with the sort of the legal training and knowledge that I've experienced, but also take some of that personal feeling and put it into the work that I do. And that's a difficult thing to do because I struggle with self-esteem. I have a lot of self-doubt.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people, when you're doing a professional job or you are a professional, a lot of the times people don't recognize that you yourself are struggling with that.
The human
side. That's right.
Behind the
professional. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's something that I think I'm not going to say it necessarily stems from my experience as a 60 scoop survivor, but I certainly think it's a factor.
So share with people what a 60 scoop survivor is.
Starting in the late 50s and all the way up into the 80s, and even presently, there are a lot of Indigenous children that are removed from their families and their culture for various reasons, and they're placed in non-Indigenous homes. So what they grow up missing is a sense of identity, a sense of connection. You look around and you're surrounded by people that you don't look like, and quite often it's pointed out to you. So you feel sort of like you're on the periphery. You're just on the outside, and you never quite sort of feel comfortable in your own skin, and that's a very difficult thing to grow up feeling.
Well, I can see how one would doubt their sense of self-worth.
That's right.
Through
That's
that
right.
kind of an experience.
Yeah.
How old were you when you...
Oh, I was very young. I was an infant, and
Okay.
so I was raised. But luckily, I was placed with a family who recognized and was open to my seeking out, sort of the connections that I needed in order to form my own identity, and they actually supported me in that.
Lovely.
And so, with an open mind, I did so, and that sort of again has been my life path and brought me to these opportunities, brought me to the inquiry, probably informs my practice of law on a day-to-day basis, and I'm not even aware of.
Yeah, no doubt. Sometimes the self-doubt can actually be crippling.
Yes.
And I know what that feels like too.
Yeah, it can be.
And so what are some of the lessons that you've learned from these struggles? The toolbox.
I would say that, again, from my learning and coming back to my Indigenous roots, I would say that I've learned a lot from elders who teach that there's 7 teachings in Indigenous, not in just Ojibwe, but I'm Ojibwe, so that's sort of where I draw my knowledge base from and the information I've been given. And there's 7 teachings, several of which sort of go right to the core. Not only the general foundation is love, so identifying with that, but certainly learning your self-respect.
Yeah.
And so in order for others to respect you, you need to have a good sense of self-respect. That's where it starts.
Yes.
And that doesn't always come from others. Like even if you respect yourself, others aren't always going to respect you, but at least it starts there, and there's a foundation for you to grow from. And then I guess following that, really some courage to recognize that when you are having those feelings of self-doubt, you also have the courage to overcome them in whatever circumstances you're facing.
Yeah.
And another important area to draw from is your own wisdom. And that's more than your knowledge. So it's more than my legal training or my professionalism. Wisdom comes from experience.
Yeah.
And so you draw from where your wisdom is, what wisdom you hold and you've been able to form, and the courage. And quite often that informs your sense of self-respect and your sense of self-worth. And it's a day-to-day struggle, keeping all of those pieces in place.
Yeah.
But it's something that I think that I have been able to sort of hold on to. It's like a life raft.
Yeah.
Keeps me
you're
afloat.
Inspiring. What advice would you give to your younger self?
I think I would tell my younger self to hold on to that you are good enough, you are enough. Because quite often I would feel that I wasn't good enough, I didn't know enough, I couldn't be enough, I wasn't giving enough, I wasn't enough. Yeah. And so I would tell myself, you are enough, just let it come. Yeah. Let it come. Be yourself.
So important, that self-talk, right?
It is. It is a
bring
daily,
yourself back up.
And it's a daily, no matter what age, and no matter what profession, no matter how much you earn, no matter how many friends you have, it's something that you yourself have to sort of do internally.
Can we do some fun stuff now?
Sure.
Some rapid fire questions.
Okay. Sure. Something less heavy.
Something light. Some levity.
Light. Okay.
So, who's your favorite superhero?
Oh, good. I would probably say Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I would say that because I thought she was always very attractive.
Yes.
And strong at the same time.
Yeah. Favorite food indulgence?
Cheesecake.
Cheesecake.
Really
Which kind?
Creamy baked New York cheesecake.
Oh, the baked.
Yes,
yeah, that's
baked
the
cheese
best.
with maybe some cherry or blueberry topping.
All right. How about someone you admire?
I think I would say my father.
Yeah?
Yep, my father was very kind, very supportive, very flexible, and he wasn't raised that way. So in order to sort of break a cycle, he himself sort of took on those character traits, and I think that he's definitely instilled them in all of his children. So I say kudos to that.
Something not too many people know about you.
Self-doubt that I have, that I've struggled with.
Yeah, people don't expect lawyers to have self-doubt.
No, and I hide it well, I think, but it's
Don't
there.
we all?
Yeah, we try to anyway.
Favorite movie, book, or quote?
I think probably Thelma and Louise is my favorite
yeah.
movie. Yeah, again, strong women certainly have some struggles in their life, and they kind
Not
of
the
don't-
way to handle them.
Not the
though.
way to handle them. No, the different ending, a different ending.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
What's something that always makes you smile?
I would say I'm a mom of 3 boys, and as they have sort of advanced into more young adults, I always, quite often, they will say something, and I'll think back to when they were kids, and they said or did something as little boys, and when I think about it, it always brings a smile to my face, because I think that innocence never leaves you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not from our viewpoint
Points-
as a mom.
as a mom,
right?
exactly.
They don't sometimes
They-
want to
they
hear
don't-
it. But what's your definition of success in one sentence, Meredith?
Oh, somebody, I guess somebody who exhibits those 7 teachings that the Indigenous teachings, and does so in a way of grace and humility, and as sort of for no other reason, does it when nobody's around. Doesn't matter who's watching. They can be alone or they can be in a group. That's just part of who they are. So I would say that for sure.
I've loved our conversation.
I have too.
I know.
Is
It's
not
over.
yet?
It's
Oh no. Okay.
But you can find out more about Meredith on LinkedIn, Meredith Porter, and that's the platform that she's on, and you can check her out. We can follow you and hopefully see what's up next for you, and be excited. Thank you so much for sharing.
Awesome. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.